Petah Tikva is one of the oldest Jewish settlements in Israel, founded in 1878, which gives it the nickname Hamashavot, Mother of the Colonies. Today, it's a large city of over 250,000 people, sprawling and diverse, with neighborhoods ranging from ultra-Orthodox to secular, old and worn to new and gleaming. For Anglos considering it, Petah Tikva presents a complicated picture that depends heavily on which part of the city you're looking at. The city's geographic position is central, sitting just east of Tel Aviv and bordering Bnei Brak, Ramat Gan, and Givat Shmuel. The Ayalon Highway and major roads provide access to Tel Aviv, and the train station connects to the national network. In theory, this makes Petah Tikva a convenient base for working in the center. In practice, traffic can be challenging, and the city's sprawl means that some neighborhoods feel well-connected while others feel more peripheral. The commute to central Tel Aviv can range from 20 minutes to an hour, depending on where in Petah Tikva you live, what time you're traveling, and which route you take. The Anglo community in Petah Tikva exists, but is dispersed and less organized than in dedicated Anglo centers. There are Anglo families throughout the city, with some concentration in the newer neighborhoods and in areas popular with young religious families. Facebook groups and WhatsApp chats connect English speakers, but the community doesn't have the cohesion or infrastructure of Ra'anana or even Givat Shmuel. Many Anglos who live in Petah Tikva participate in Anglo communities in nearby cities for certain activities, or they've built social networks that cross linguistic lines rather than relying on an Anglo community per se. The city's diversity is both an asset and a complication. Different neighborhoods have distinctly different characters, to the degree that living in one part of Petah Tikva can feel like a completely different city than living in another part. Understanding this neighborhood variation is essential for anyone considering the city. The newer neighborhoods in the western and southwestern parts of the city, areas like Kfar Ganim, Hamoshavot, and the newer Maram developments, tend to attract young professional families. These areas have modern construction, better planning, parks, and a more middle-class suburban feel. Prices here are higher than the city average, but still lower than Givat Shmuel or Ra'anana, making them attractive to families who want a newer apartment in a good area without paying Central Israel premiums. Some Anglo families have concentrated in these neighborhoods, creating informal networks and a sense of community. The older parts of Petah Tikva, closer to the historic center and in various neighborhoods throughout the city, have a different character. Buildings from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, sometimes worn and in need of renovation, mixed populations, and a more working-class feel. These areas are significantly cheaper, but may not appeal to Anglos looking for a particular standard of living or community feel. Some Anglo families do live in these areas, often finding value in larger apartments at lower prices, but the social environment is different. The ultra-Orthodox neighborhoods in the eastern parts of the city, bordering Bnei Brak, have their own distinct character. Unless you're ultra-Orthodox yourself, these areas probably aren't relevant, but understanding their presence helps map the city's geography. The Dati Leumi community in Petah Tikva is substantial, and some neighborhoods have a strong national religious presence. Families looking for a religious environment with good Dati schools can find this in certain parts of Petah Tikva, sometimes at lower prices than Givat Shmuel, where competition for housing among Dati families is intense. The trade-off is that these communities within Petah Tikva may be smaller or less established than in cities where Dati Leumi is the dominant population. Housing costs vary dramatically by neighborhood. In the newer, more desirable areas, prices approach those of Givat Shmuel or Ra'anana, though generally remaining somewhat lower. A family apartment in a good neighborhood might cost 2.5 to 3.5 million shekels to purchase, with rentals running 6,000 to 9,000 shekels monthly. In older neighborhoods, prices drop significantly, with apartments available for purchase under 2 million shekels and rentals in the 4,000 to 6,000 range. The variation means that Petah Tikva can work for different budgets depending on willingness to compromise on neighborhood or apartment quality. Schools in Petah Tikva span the full range of Israeli options, including Mamlakti, secular state, Mamlakti Dati, state religious, and various ultra-Orthodox systems. Quality varies by specific school rather than following a city-wide pattern. Anglo parents typically research specific schools in their target neighborhood and seek recommendations from other families. The size of the city means that there are usually multiple options within any given stream, allowing families to find a school that fits. As with elsewhere in Israel, there are no international or bilingual schools, so children attend Hebrew language education, with families supplementing English at home or through tutoring. The religious landscape reflects the city's diversity. Synagogues range from ultra-Orthodox to modern Orthodox to traditional. Finding a congregation that fits requires exploration, and Anglos often visit several before settling. Some synagogues in the Dati Leumi neighborhoods have English-speaking members and may have rabbis comfortable in English. The city has Chabad presence as well, which often serves as an accessible entry point for English speakers. For secular residents, Petah Tikva has a significant secular population and infrastructure, though certain neighborhoods lean heavily religious. Employment follows the pattern of other Gush Dan cities, with most professionals commuting to Tel Aviv, Herzliya, or other job centers. Petah Tikva itself has some industry and commercial activity, including the Petah Tikva industrial zone, but high-tech opportunities within the city are limited compared to the major tech hubs. The commute is manageable for many people, especially those living in the western parts of the city closer to the highways. Remote work has made location less determinative for some professionals. Healthcare is well served, with Kupot Holim clinics throughout the city and Rabin Medical Center, Beilinson, providing major hospital services. Beilinson is one of Israel's significant hospitals, and its presence in Petah Tikva is an asset for residents. Finding English-speaking doctors requires recommendations but is achievable. The physical environment of Petah Tikva is mixed. Some areas are pleasant, with tree-lined streets, parks, and good infrastructure. Others are more industrial or commercial, with heavy traffic and less aesthetic appeal. The city lacks the cohesive character of smaller communities and feels more like a collection of neighborhoods than a unified place. This is neither good nor bad, but it's worth understanding. People don't tend to identify strongly as Petah Tikva residents in the way they might identify with a smaller city or community. It's more that they live in their particular neighborhood, which happens to be within Petah Tikva's municipal boundaries. Shopping and amenities are plentiful. The city has multiple malls, including the large Hadar Mall, and commercial areas throughout. Restaurants, cafes, and services cover all needs. For entertainment and culture beyond the basics, Tel Aviv is accessible, but for daily life, everything is available locally. The social experience for Anglos in Petah Tikva is more self-directed than in established Anglo communities. Without a strong Anglo infrastructure, people build their own networks through work, school, synagogue, and neighborhood. Some find this isolating, especially during the adjustment period after making Aliyah. Others prefer it, feeling that it encourages integration and the development of relationships across linguistic lines. Anglos who thrive in Petah Tikva often are those who already have some Hebrew, have connections in Israel, or are comfortable building community without relying on English-speaking frameworks. The city's reputation among Israelis is generally not prestigious. It's seen as a practical, affordable option rather than a desirable destination. This perception may be unfair to the nicer neighborhoods, which can offer good quality of life, but it does affect how people talk about the city. For some Anglos, this doesn't matter at all. For others, particularly those coming from backgrounds where location carries social significance, it may be a consideration. Compared to nearby Givat Shmuel, Petah Tikva offers more space and generally lower prices, but less community cohesion and a more variable quality across neighborhoods. Givat Shmuel is small, tight-knit, and predominantly Dati Leumi, while Petah Tikva is large, diverse, and fragmented. Families who prioritize community and are willing to pay for it often choose Givat Shmuel. Those who want more space, more flexibility, or lower prices may find Petah Tikva works better. Compared to Ra'anana, Petah Tikva is less Anglo-centric and less expensive. Families who specifically want Anglo infrastructure and English language services find Ra'anana more accommodating. Those who are comfortable without extensive Anglo support may appreciate Petah Tikva's lower costs and central location. For Anglos considering Petah Tikva, the strong recommendation is to research neighborhoods carefully and visit multiple areas before making decisions. The difference between a good fit and a poor fit may come down to which specific neighborhood you choose. Connecting with current Anglo residents through Facebook groups, asking about specific areas, and spending time in different parts of the city all help inform the decision. What works for one family may not work for another, and the city's diversity means that many different experiences are possible. The Anglo families who've settled happily in Petah Tikva often mention finding a good neighborhood with nearby families, developing relationships through school and synagogue, and appreciating the practical benefits of affordable housing in a central location. They acknowledge that the city lacks the charm of smaller communities and the Anglo infrastructure of Ra'anana, but they've built satisfying lives nonetheless. The challenges mentioned include the city's sprawl, traffic, and the effort required to build community without established Anglo frameworks.